Hi everyone, I'm super excited to host Dennis Dixon. He's CEO of OQULi, and I recently saw a LinkedIn post from him about announcing CODiii, and I was like, this product looks super exciting and I have to get him on the show. So thanks a lot for your time for doing this.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for having me on.
So Dennis, take us back to your college days, like until this date. What has been your career experience, highlights?
Geez, you're taking me back to when I was eating ramen in a basement apartment. Yeah, I was an addict for technology. I grew up, you know, teaching AutoCAD at the early years of 15 years old, and by the time I got to university, I had taught myself Revit and learned a few things in college. Sorry, and yeah, it was in Kitchener where everything kind of started from there. Got addicted.
Oh, man. And who were mentors or influential people in your career?
So I had two major mentors. One of them was Marty Scarlett, who was a teacher of mine in high school, who taught me shop and gave me manuals to learn the CNC machine and taught me my first ever AutoCAD course. And then my other would have been Randy Hadley, who was an architectural teacher in our college, who really put us on the right foot for understanding design. It was really cool.
And what has been your most toughest career choice you had to make?
Oh, geez. There were a few. I mean, my toughest career choice was actually going back to school. I was originally going to become a framer for the rest of my life, and I realized when it was -40 outside in Winnipeg that maybe technology wasn't so bad, and I made a big flip. Mhm.
Anything you learned the hard way?
I've learned so many things the hard way. It's one of the biggest things I've had to learn was listening. It's been, you get on this high train of just doing and teaching, and then you realize that learning is the biggest part of our industry. So learning has always been one of those things that was hard. And if you don't take two steps back and look at the whole picture, it can just come back and bite you.
What has been the founding stories of OQULi? Take us back to that time.
So it was interesting. OQULi had formed during early COVID, and it's funny because it started as a laser scanning company. So if you don't know, OQULi actually stands for, OQ as in like visual sensors and Li for LiDAR. And eventually it transformed into seeing the light, as in, eyes seeing the light. And we started off looking at ways to get people into shopping centers without actually having to be there. So scanning existing places and putting digital people in their place. And then it moved into hardware about scanning human bodies for personal training perspectives. And we were looking at ways to create new technology. And we were realizing that these weren't actual real problems that needed to be solved. And we was touring around Autodesk University a couple of years back, and we had seen a recurring problem resulting around compliance of building codes. And we zoomed out and looked at, what does compliance actually mean? Is it just building codes? We looked at schedules and budgets and things like that. And that's where OQULi really changed its focus and looked at the entire building life cycle. We just could not stop bringing that helicopter up. And we were like, let's look at the whole ecosystem.
Got it. I think there's so much to unpack about. You mentioned casually about the pivot stories about finding the problem, but when you were in trenches in building, like, tell us like what were the challenges, how were you keeping up, and what are the new skills you had to learn as a founder?
So that's crazy. So it's funny. Pivoting is really hard. Like when you get your eyes set on an idea, it really takes a large part of your soul and heart and passion. And when you hit that wall, you hit a realization that maybe you haven't, quite created something that is attainable. So that even during the first stages when we were looking at this application that can help us into malls, one quick comment of being like, I like to touch the fabric of the clothes I'm going to wear. Or, the idea of having my face scanned as I walk through a shopping mall really freaks me out. And that, or even just the scanning application itself of being able to rapidly scan a place and get it loaded onto a computer really quickly was extremely frustrating. And and doesn't always end up right. And that was a lot of research. So you just have to do it and see if it works. And it's kind of like throwing spaghetti on a wall to see if it's done. Just
Mm,
if it sticks, yeah, it's great.
if you were to start a company now, what would be a step-by-step playbook or framework you would do?
So the interesting thing is, ever since about a couple months ago, even like I would just say half a year, the whole fabric has changed. It's completely different right now versus when it was like even just 2 or 3 years ago. The growth is so accelerated, and the world has switched to an agentic approach for running companies. So, advice for anyone starting in right now, get to know your agents. Like,
Mm,
understand efficiency and automation before you get in there. Like, it's at least have a firm understanding of it. But if you are going to go into starting a business, understand your problem. That
okay.
is the first and foremost. Is it a problem that is actually worth solving? And is it something that everyone has a pain point? If you don't have that, might as well back away.
But let's say if a architecture recent grad is passionate about technology and architecture space, they might not have the deeper level of problem understanding because they might not have that work experience. What would you advise them?
So ask questions. This is the biggest thing. So as an architect coming out of school or as an architectural technologist, you're coming out green and you're still in the learning phase. So if you get yourself pigeoned into a position where you're just doing details in and out, you get a new job, you're doing details, you're going to get stuck in that for 10, 15 years. Like you will just evolve doing details for the rest of your life. Go to conferences, go to industry events, learn different parts of the industry, like talk to new people and ask questions of like, what do you run into? What is the issues you run into? So if you do that in a short period coming out of school, like take a year, find out what the industry is doing, take part in conferences, take part in this stuff, and you'll be surprised. Something will just fall into your lap.
That's a great advice. Like, go to more events, build more relationships because our industry is very relationship driven. Ask questions, and then you'll find a common pattern of problems among the people who are struggling.
Yep.
So, let's say that's stage 0 or 1 of identifying problems, what's worth solving. In the second biggest challenge is okay, finding customers or distribution. What would you like advise on that?
So it's very easy to get your eyes on the big prize, like looking, I want to be all over the world. It's the hard reality of it is the world is a big cookie to chew on. Is you cannot just shove that whole thing in your face and be ready to go. Just like anything else, taking bits of pieces off of that you can digest, knowing what your addressable market is and what you can actually work with is important. So starting bite size. So for instance, for companies like ours, we know our market here in Canada. We know a tight knit area, and we have a lot of growth in the United States of companies that we're aware of. So being focused in one area is very important. Know your market and keep it small to start and focus heavily on that. And then in the back of your head, always keeping where you want to go next.
I see. Take us a deeper dive into CODiii.
Yeah, CODiii is the brainchild of lots of these discussions. So I was kind of shocked looking back at how long I've been doing this now is 23 years, and I've been in the industry doing it's I was trying to do the math. I'm like, I swear I'm younger than I'm but it's I'm wearing a bleach shirt. I still watch cartoons. So I feel like I'm 10 years old. But anyway, when we were looking at CODiii, we that 23 years of experience talking to HVAC consultants and engineers and building owners, facilities management, like all different areas, I've come to the realization that there's so much going on and a lot of communication's been missed. we realized that in this industry, there's about 440 touch points of where a project is handed off to somebody. And many times they don't see the other aspects of it. And all of this is based around compliance to schedules, compliance to cost, compliance to codes, compliance to budget, like our budgeting and forecasting. Like there's compliance is such a big word. And we realize that our whole industry has been operating around this big empty chasm. We go and design, they walk around the hole and hand off projects to construction. They walk around this hole and hand off their projects to operations. And all the while, things are dropping down this hole and information's being lost and things aren't being communicated. So what we did is we filled this hole with all of the information that you're seeing on the screen right now. And we created a communication pipeline or an information pipeline to join everything together into what you see now is a smart, deep research. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's we're undertaking a new foundation for information management, and while not disrupting your current workflows, it's plug and play. You literally just plug it in, and then you can take the benefits of a deep research tool like this.
This
Yeah,
is like the amount of complexity. Like when I see that graph you made of
I
like,
know.
I was like, woo, it's
Yeah,
very well thought.
so we took that. If you're looking on the screen there now, we actually reduced that complexity by just putting it into an easy to use interface. So it becomes a little bit more familiar. So that complexity is that brain, but simplified for our users.
Dennis, what has been the most challenging part in building this tool?
Well, the most challenging part, like that graph that I showed you used to be the original app. Like it was, yeah, we looked from a UX perspective, or for those of you who don't know user experience, as to how somebody can work with this massive nest of information. And that was the hardest part, was how do we strip this down to make it easily digestible? Because we ultimately want them to communicate. We want individuals to come together in an easy way. And that was the first part, was making this digestible. The second part was communicating how we can break down those barriers and fill that hole so that we can actually get out of this hole. My intellectual property, don't touch it. And we got past that by realizing that everyone has to hand off their documents at some point for the project to continue. And we only want those documents. We don't want your intellectual property. Like, everyone wants to work together on the latest version of the truth. So once we realized that that was the case, then everyone's doors started opening up and we started taking advantage of deep research. And you can see that there and choosing miscellaneous documents and doing research on multiple things at once. So
God. And since you are in this AI agentic world, what's your hot take on the future of our industry?
So it's a very interesting one. OQULi takes a strong stance on not doing and doing assist instead of do. We see a lot of AI going towards the do portion, which is where a lot of the fear is coming from. People are getting obviously afraid of jobs being taken, etc. It's a real thing that should be looked at. We feel that we go to school for architecture to showcase our creativity. We go to school for structure to showcase the way that, we can take creative approaches to reduce material usage and to show some interesting ways to improve construction. And the same goes for any other outfit. So what we want to do is create tools that can better help them strengthen the abilities that they gained out of education and their passion, instead of taking away from the parts that really help them wake up in the morning. So that's our approach. We want to help, not do.
More on Copilot.
Yeah. Like in our deep research models, when we start digging into extracting parameters out of projects, like we're just looking to bring it out into the forefront so that you're not wasting all your time flipping through books. Like that sort of thing, or checking compliance on a project and flagging you of potential mistakes, which is in our upcoming release. We'll be digging into your design softwares to tell you when you're out of compliance, which again, it's just a flag. It's telling you your width of your hallway is too small,
Mm,
and then what you do with that information is up to you. But that's the key. Help out and get us on the right track.
God. And like I can imagine the UI UX development is so complex and you have to simplify to make it more friendly. Like how would how should one think about developing UI UX for co-pilots in our industry?
So there's a very interesting shift right now, and we've already seen a user interface shift from many. Oh, look, I'm speaking again. I'm just kidding. So we there's an interesting shift in UI. We actually just watched a post 2 days ago about invisible UI, about how things are starting to morph to less buttons, less clicking, and more communicating verbally with your applications. There are some that believe that it's just going to be an office filled with people talking to their computers. Um, I don't know. It's interesting. I find it very awkward not to have a hand on the mouse, but the simplification of UIs and will be directed more towards prompting and workflow analysis, which is similar to automation. Like you're asking it a question saying, I want to start doing this. It says, okay, great. Well, what do you want to do with this? I want to do this next. And then eventually you get to the tool that you want to use. And that's where I see UIs going. Less interface buttons and more workflow. So it'll be interesting. And then as the AI gets smarter, we start dealing with more reactive response.
Mm. Are there any examples, maybe within our industry or outside our industry, who has done AI agentic implementation very well?
Yeah, there are a few applications out there that have really done it in different areas. So, like, I look at programs like Varus, who I think they just got acquired of Chaos. Don't quote me on that, but they created a really cool AI program to render in your
Yeah.
software. Love that program. There are a number of different tools out there like Finch who have taken generative AI approaches for floor space design, and now they've just injected into Revit, which is really cool. And then there's administrative tools such as presentations.ai, very simple like presentation tool. I just renewed 2 days ago because I'm addicted to that software where you just take your content, throw it in, and then it generates a presentation or PowerPoint for you, but like really cool looking one. So there's lots of really cool tools out there that are helpful. I think the AI and AEC platform, they showcase all these new AI tools for us and really cool stuff. Yeah.
What would be your like piece of advice for founders building about fundraising versus bootstrapping?
So I have Paige and we have strong opinions, and Paige, my business partner, we have strong opinions about staying true to your problem. When you're in the early stages of running a company, you need to live and breathe it like blood, sweat, and tears, and squeeze every ounce of energy you have into that problem before taking money. You need to understand that the problem that you're solving is much bigger than yourself, and to really understand it you need to live it. And bootstrapping is something that we have decided to do collectively. And then there's a point where when your bootstrapping initiatives take weight and it becomes about scaling to a greater audience and being able to deliver, that's when you would get into fundraising. Not fundraising is not the goal. It is something to help you reach your goal. So you have to realize that when you do that, don't make sacrifices for your hard work. Get the hard work in first and meet with your clients and don't take shortcuts. Fundraising is not the goal. The goal is to fix a problem that everyone is facing.
That's a good one. How do you prepare for go to market?
So, go to market is probably the hardest thing. There's a lot of differing opinions about it, and what we've found, and I have to give huge props to the Next program. We're part of the Next program in Toronto, and they have prepped us from a lot of different areas. And I would say, like, I've learned so many things. When it comes to go to market, you have to understand if you have market fit. Like you cannot understand if you have market fit if you're just blindly designing a product. And as I mentioned, I was pivoting 2 or 3 times. I was creating things that didn't solve a problem because I did not take that problem and go out and ask enough people. So,
Mhm.
back to our original question about what you should do when you get out of architecture school. Understanding different areas of our industry and talking to people is all about learning. The more you talk, and if you have an idea, people want to talk. I mean, ask the questions. It's not a hard thing to do. Knock down a door, go ask, and just see if the problem's real. And that's how you get to the root of it. That's how you understand your market fit. And then in terms of go to market, put a plan together. Like, just start knocking on doors and building relationships. Relationships are key. That's forget about the LinkedIn posts and the Facebook stuff. You're going to waste your money early stage. I'll give that advice to anyone. Just make a phone call, knock down a door, create a relationship.
So if we were to boil down to a 90-day plan, it would be like preparing the list of potential customers, calling them, and like so list building, actually doing the calling would be the first most thing.
Yep. And stay true to your market. Build the list, stay true to your market, and be authentic, right? Don't change who you are to do whatever it is you're doing. Don't sell the lies. Tell them the hardships that you've been going through. Like, we've flipped our program upside down and broken things so many times during CODiii. We've had beta testers that have found out, oh, I can see somebody else's projects inside of my file. I'm like, oh no, like that's everything stop. We've we're okay with that. We're all in it together. So just be authentic, be open about what you're facing, and that'll read through.
What has been the most common objections when you reach out to firms who wants to try out new tools?
Just another AI tool. What's different about you? And it's we get that a lot. I mean, the biggest thing that you're going to face is your notoriety in the industry, how young you are, how you're going to face hundreds of different reasons why you shouldn't talk to somebody. The biggest thing is show your passion. Like, if you're going to drive 4 hours to go meet somebody and show the reason why you're going to be there, they're going to open that door. They're going to understand. If your story has a very big background to it and it comes from a place of passion, people will listen. You just have to make sure to portray that. Do not go in there and say, I'm here to sell a product. They will say, I don't have time for this. Like, because it's true. Like, you're not there to solve a product. You're there to fix a problem they have.
So like being authentic and genuine, and the story matters a lot. When I see. And apart from like you're naturally like passionate about architecture and technology, but doing a product and business requires a whole new set of skills, new skills to learn. What are those?
So the biggest thing, we've seen so many founders and business owners who are making hundreds of millions of dollars over the years. They all have the same story. Like, some of them have solved problems that they knew nothing about. They just know that they walked into a scenario where it was uncomfortable or where something just really ticked them off. And they'd go and ask, did this tick you off too, to other people? They're like, yeah, this is terrible. I hate this. This is and then they sit there with eyes open at night going, I can't go to sleep right now. This is bothering me. Like, I can't. And that kicks something off inside your head. And when you're passionate enough about that problem, you will go out there and fly to the corners of the world to find out how you can solve it, and go until you're flat broke and sell all of your assets to figure it out. It just becomes part of your nature.
Yeah, I can like feel that, and there are times where I don't want to sleep. I just want to keep working, and
Yeah.
I see. What would be your advice to 18-year-old Dennis?
18-year-old Dennis, go on your own. Just, yeah, you struggle on a leash. I've always been in my best teaching. I always love seeing people flourish. There's an impact to seeing people realize something they haven't done before. And I would have said, keep pursuing and leading and taking initiative in different areas like that. And learn more. Like, I would just say, like, I would have learned more fast, get out of school and learn more. So big things, like, I would have just said, just take the reins, take some initiative and learn more.
I see. You're gonna do a rapid fire. You have like
Sure.
5 to 10 seconds to answer and you gotta keep it super brief. It's very difficult. Dennis, are you ready?
Sure. Let's fire away.
Okay. Who's your favorite architect?
Frank Gehry.
Favorite architecture building?
Mirvish Towers, Toronto.
Favorite restaurant?
I would have to say Union Chicken, downtown Toronto.
City in your bucket list?
Japan.
That's very common among architects, I think. Any book or movie or video which made a big impact in your life?
Yes, Bugsy Malone.
3 words your friend would describe you as.
Crazy, uncontrollable, and geez, I don't know.
Third one.
Yeah, I can't rapid fire this. I don't know what they describe me as. Unhindered. I don't know.
You are in your 60s, retired, infinite money and time. What are you doing? What's your ideal day?
Still going. Yeah, for me, I would build a wood shop. I would make furniture or just things constantly making sawdust fly.
Best piece of advice you have received till date?
Just go for it. That was best piece of advice. Just go for it.
Your role model?
He's my role model, my dad. Yeah, 100% my dad.
Do you listen to podcasts?
Yeah, the odd time. I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, actually.
Anyone which you would like to give a shout out?
Well, I really love comedy podcasts like Bad Friends and Joe Rogan Experience and stuff like that. So anything that'll make me laugh.
I see. It's December 2025. What's the stage of CODiii you ideally want?
So our stage of CODiii is we have a flourishing community that's taking part. We've created a web of knowledge that everyone is involved in, and we now have integrations to your design software. Like the biggest part is we want a community. We want to have more feedback. So that ultimately would be the biggest thing for us.
Amazing. Anything which we didn't cover in this interview and you'd like to end on that note?
Yeah, just keep tabs on the journey. We've built our whole roadmap on a skill tree because we're big video game nerds. So take part and watch what we're doing. That's the other part. And don't feel free to reach out. Like LinkedIn is our guiding light. We talk to people on there all the time, and don't be shy. And no matter what part of the industry you're just starting out of school, or if you are running this in-person company and you feel like you don't get to communicate with anyone anymore, reach out to us. We just love to chat.
Yeah, I feel whenever I see your LinkedIn post, you are like staying to like building public ideology. So great job on sharing your progress, sharing on LinkedIn, and thanks for sharing about CODiii.
And thank you for having me on. This has been fantastic.